and welcome. Tonight is July 19th, 2021, and this is a special meeting of the District 191 School Board. Welcome to everybody in attendance this evening. Came out to, we have a short meeting, but thank you for taking time out of the evening, and welcome to those that are watching at home. Director Alt, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Excellent, thank you. First item on our agenda is approval of tonight's agenda. If I would have a motion for that, please.
So moved.
Moved. Director Hume.
Second.
Seconded by Director Alt. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion passes.
Used to a roll call. Sorry.
What's that?
I said anyone opposed.
Okay. Anyone opposed? There are none. The motion passes unanimously. Very good. Onto the business meeting of our section of our meeting tonight. We do need to approve minutes from our previous regular scheduled meeting on June 17th. Minutes are found in the board book agenda for tonight. I'll take a motion for approval of the minutes.
So moved.
Moved by Director and seconded?
Second.
Seconded, okay. Any comments on approval of the minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the motion passes. All right, then the first item tonight is to approve the proposed revisions in the 2021-2023 collective bargaining agreement with the Burnsville Education Association. I will welcome to the microphone Stacy Sovine, Executive Director of Human Resources.
Good evening, Chair Miller, Dr. Battle, members of the board. I'm bringing to you tonight two collective bargaining agreements. The first one is with the teachers or the Burnsville Education Association. Just a recap, we started negotiations with BEA on May 18th of 2021, and we finished up with a tentative agreement on June 21st. We had 3 meetings. We found them to be very productive and moving forward. And we only had 23 language items, so we were able to barrel through fairly quickly. Within that, some of the language items that we were looking at was aligning different components to the seniority list for benefit and salary increases. What that looks like is there's a career increment after 15 years and 20 years to where they get kind of a bump in their salary. A 403B match increases at the 15-year mark, and also personal day accrual bumps at the 15-year. We're tying it to the seniority list because some of the language that was currently in the contract was a little vague. So folks were leaving the district, returning to the district, and still wanted credit for their service within the district as if it was continuous. And it was like, we just wanted to kind of clear that up and make sure that it was aligned for both employees and the employer. Also sunsetted some different language with the vendor, outdated language, and then also put in some current practices into the contract. One was the involuntary transfer. So in the spring when we do the staffing process, if this year they had 20 FTEs, but next year or the upcoming year they would only have 19 FTEs because of class size, they don't have as many students. Well, somebody's going to get bumped to another building, okay? But all of a sudden we have this large amount of kindergartners coming back, so I need to move an FTE back. What this language does is it allows that teacher possibly to come back to the building before the school year would start. So over 2 years, the projected cost will be about $6.1 million, an MSBA increase of 6.5%. Just to make sure, this does include steps, lanes, which is if a person goes back for their master's or their specialist degree, There are educational lanes in which they can move across the salary schedule, the insurance premiums, and the improvement to the 403B match of $500. So, and we are looking at a salary and benefit package increase for most teachers of close to $4,800 each year with this settlement. So with that, it is my recommendation that the Board of Education approve the proposed revisions and re-adopt the unchanged language in the 2021-2023 collective bargaining agreement with the Burnsville Education Association and Independent School District 191.
Thank you. I will take a motion for the recommendation in front of us.
So moved.
Moved by Director Werb,
I'll second.
seconded by Director Hume. I will open it up for discussion and comments. Director Alt.
Thank you, Chair Miller. I just wanted, as Chair of the negotiations team, I wanted to just take this opportunity to thank fellow board members who are on the negotiations team, as well as the union's negotiations team. They were productive conversations. We were able to move forward. And I'm particularly pleased that we were able to find partnership language around retaining staff of color and finding the strategies to implement retention within the means that are at our disposal, of course. So I really appreciated that and wanted to thank everyone.
Other comments?
What would be the starting salary for teachers, new teachers, for the year?
That wasn't a question I anticipated. It'll be around $43,000 with a Step 1 BA right out of college.
Do you know if it would be more for someone with a master's?
Oh, absolutely. Yep. So the salary schedule is, we have 20 steps. 2 of those steps are career increments at Step 15 and Step 20, okay? Then it goes from left to right with BA, BA 20, BA 40, MA, MA 20, 40, and then a specialist or an MA 60. So at each one of those increments is also an increase.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Well, I'll just take a moment myself. As you mentioned, Stacy, we do have 2 contracts this evening, but I'm going to preemptively just comment in general at the one point here. I want to thank the negotiations committee. I want to thank you and Dr. Battle and your staff for the hard work put into this. Especially want to thank the BEA for coming to the table and coming to an agreement that sounds like it's a good match for everybody involved. This is probably the first time I've been sitting up here at this table that I haven't had to take some time off from work or some extra time involved, so this is fantastic. I mean, that's a personal observation, but selfish, I guess, but it's great for the district also. So thank you, everybody involved. I really appreciate it, and I'm glad to hear we can move forward with a productive environment with our teachers, get back to the business at hand. Okay, then at this point, we'll take a vote on the proposal in front of us, the motion in front of us. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Any not in favor? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously. Then now we'll move to approve the collective bargaining agreement with the Association of Clerical Employees. Again, Stacy Sobine, Executive Director of Human Resources.
Okay. We had kind of a good streak going on the week of the third week in June. On June 22nd, we had reached a tentative agreement with our clerical unit. We met twice. We had 16 language items to review, plus the economics. Again, very straightforward negotiations this time around. We removed dated language, clarified some holiday language and leave language, provided steps both years. As far as the economic piece, we added a couple of $100 to the 403B match to bring it up to $1,500. And we have an estimated cost over 2 years of $172,000. The MSBA 2-year package increase is 3.93%. One of the things that I will point out, it may feel like why is one group at 4% and the other one was higher. one of the things is all of the other bargaining units have 2 to 3 steps. Okay, so the movement between the steps is very limited, especially if somebody's already been here for 3 years. And it's within those step increments is where you see the big increase to the budget. If everybody's at the top step, the value that we put, that's it. There's no other increase. With teachers having close to 20 steps, you have a lot of folks somewhere within the middle of that who are progressing through. That's what drives up the cost. Okay. With that, the recommendation is that the Board of Education approve the proposed revisions and readopt the unchanged language in the 2021-2023 master agreement with the Association of Clerical Employees.
Thank you. I will take a motion for the recommendation in front of us.
I move.
Moved by Director Chester. Second? Seconded by Director Said. I will open up for any comments, discussion, questions. All right, hearing none, I will just again reiterate my thanks and point out that this is equally important contract. Obviously, the BEA one gets usually star billing, but we're very happy that we've settled with our very important employees in the clerical group. So thank you very much. With that, we'll take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any not in favor? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously. With that, so I now need a motion to adjourn now because we're back to normal rules, right? Yes, I will take a motion to adjourn to a workshop.
So moved.
Moved by Director Alt,
Second.
seconded by Director Connor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any not in favor? Very well. Adjournment. We are in adjournment to a workshop to discuss scoreboard offer. And we will just go straight into that.
I kind of like the roll call.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and remember how to do all this. Forgot about that part. Okay, so I'm gonna lead us into the conversation this evening. Appreciate everybody taking a few extra minutes to discuss this. The objective tonight is to review what's in front of us and then answer questions as we can, or find that we might have some additional questions that need to be answered. And then we will have official action through a recommendation and motion at our next regular scheduled meeting, which I believe is on the 16th of August. 12th. I'm looking at the policy review meeting. 12th of August, sorry. Okay, so the what's going on, as most of you know, but just for records purposes here, there is an electronic scoreboard at the Burnsville High School that is a pretty large piece of equipment, and that was brought into the district and installed for the district on behalf of a nonprofit organization called Black and Gold. There's a Burnsville Black. BHS Black and Gold Alumni Foundation. That's the technical name. And so that was installed in 2015, and so far there's been no cost to the district for that, and we're appreciative of that. And at this time, the foundation wishes to be done with the scoreboard and transfer ownership to the district. We have an offer in front of us for $175,000 for this used scoreboard, which is in place, installed, and operating. And with that, there will also be some transference of relationships and contracts on advertising, which some of which contracts have expired, some of which are current, and representing a potential future or current and then future revenue stream on the scoreboard also. So the chief questions that we had to go through for negotiation purposes, meeting with the current owner, Mr. Pomage, and his bank, was just to ensure that the scoreboard can be legally transferred to our ownership. We have feel like we have met that understanding. The technicalities being of which there would be including a UCC lien release letter. But we've been assured by the bank that there's no outstanding encumbrances on the scoreboard and that it would become ours clear and outright. We have not officially, well, excuse me, we do now, just this afternoon, officially received the proposal for sale. We will need to, by state law, go and get a couple of quotes on boards because the threshold in which this falls price range-wise. We will need to do that before we put forward official proposal. I don't think we're out of step for discussing this offer tonight without having those in front of us. If you'd like, yeah, want to comment on that?
I have spoken with our auditing firm, and they agree that this is a type of situation in which there really isn't a comparable quote out there and available to us. And so given that, they don't believe that that is a necessary requirement, but we would need to write the documentation up.
That we would not need to even get a quote at all?
Well, we have a quote
Yes, I
of what it
understand.
is for us to purchase it new.
Yep.
And we could, it's not exact quote because that would be brand new versus the 6-year-old scoreboard that exists in the ground.
Yep.
And we also have quotes as to what it would take to actually install the I-beams that are intended to be removed.
I think that since we have those in hand, we should include those in the board book information ultimately before the actual proposal is put forward, just for prosperity consideration.
Statute allows when you have a unique circumstance, and we've used this in other times when, for example, energy system that we may have, and the only part that you can get is from the same very company and no one else generates that same part. So similarly, that's what this is being alluded to, compared to.
My understanding is the proposal for a new scoreboard was in the department of $350,000. Is that correct? Well, but that was the electronic component only. That did not include installation of the I-beams or footings and such, right?
Correct. We received a quote on June 23rd where that quote was for replacement of the scoreboard as a new one with the assumption that the I-beams would remain in place. And that quote then was $275,200
Okay.
with an additional $5,000 for fiber electronics upgrade. And then on July 13th, after learning that that was not the intent, we received a very similar quote for the equipment itself of $275,190, but an additional $79,675 for installation of new I-beam and footings if required. And we know that there's going to be the restoration of the landscaping necessary as well, which we anticipate will be around $40,000.
Okay.
So Lisa, you're saying that we expect the I-beams would need to be replaced?
Only if the current owner removes them.
Got it. Thank you.
Yes. So we're looking at what, a little over about 450? Is that what we're at?
We're around
roughly?
400,000 with all of those items entailed for us to do something on our own new, and with similar specs.
Okay. There is no outstanding warranty. I'm just trying to anticipate any potential questions on, that was a 5-year warranty and it has expired. It is now, what, a 6-year-old scoreboard, assuming it was brand new at the time, but the life cycle roughly is about 10 years or something in that neighborhood, correct?
We're told 10 to 12 as we research, looking for other scoreboards that may be up and being sold out there in the nation, which we did our own little search. We were seeing that the lives of the scoreboards were being indicated to be around 10 to 15 years. So.
Okay. All right. Well, I will open it up for any questions, or I've attempted to answer what I anticipate most questions would be, but
I thought I heard you mention about upgrade for fiber optics. Is that you're talking about the old one or the
So,
current one?
The current scoreboard is connected to a sound system for the whole Pate Stadium, as well as the fiber optics necessary to bring the images from, its origin in the press box over to the scoreboard itself. So there's all the fiber optic and electricity that's necessary to keep, either intact or, and in some cases, the scoreboard will just have an upgrade to it after so many years.
Okay.
So, did we look at purchasing used scoreboards?
Well, the challenge with the used scoreboards are that we didn't find any that were similar in nature, because most entities that have them, they don't necessarily take them down mid-life cycle and change them out necessarily, or move them off their premise, simply because of the risk that there is to damage of equipment, or how do you move that large of a piece of equipment and such. It can be done. It can be done.
So I would imagine that since it's such a special item, is there like not very many places that manufacture scoreboards in the United States? I mean, where exactly what other options are there to like get a scoreboard from?
If we have a need for a new one, we have a quote in hand for what it would be from the same company that had installed this one originally in 2015. And so we know what that would cost us to bring that in and put that up. Like I said, the first quote we got in June was one without needing to replace the I-beams because they would be standing. We learned we needed to investigate what that would be if they were actually taken out of the ground. They're 7 feet embedded in cement.
Are they the only company that installs scoreboards around here?
No, Daktronic is the name on the scoreboard. That's the company that actually does the manufacturing of it.
Okay.
And it's vendored through AIM Electronic. And that's what we have a quote on. There are others you could find of similar in nature, but none that are 6 years old and standing in the ground. You know what I'm saying? So that we could understand what they're selling theirs for to compare to the sale price we have before us. That's the comparison we were trying to make when we weren't finding anything that was of equal stats.
I think it's important to note, too, that I don't know if they even gave us a timeline on a new one, but,
16 weeks.
What's that?
16 weeks.
And that's, I would bet they're not willing to put that in. If they put it in writing, it'll be loosely written down.
It just says at least.
Yeah, because, we're not buying it off the shelf somewhere, and everything's backed up in supply. But regardless, we'd probably be looking at a very tight high possibility of not being able to have a scoreboard in place for fall sports this year.
First football game is 6 weeks away. Yeah.
There you go.
What do we spend on, or what do we anticipate spending on, I guess, routine maintenance on the scoreboard? Is there, and how has that been? He said it was, the warranty had just ended, so was that something that we didn't have any cost for the last 5 years?
We have not had those costs up until this spring. We didn't incur any costs. And in fact, this spring we didn't incur the cost, but we needed to engage the owner to ensure that they did the repair on the scoreboard. And that was, I think, minimal in nature. It was a little bit of a repair, about, I don't know exactly how much, but it seemed minor compared to the length of the scoreboard. And I was told that it was essentially, once they walked away having it work properly, they couldn't find anything else that they would recommend we repair on it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
But still has a lifespan of 4 more years.
At least. We believe it could be longer.
At least, yeah.
4 to 9.
I believe the repair involved like a rodent chewed cable or something simplistic like that. It really wasn't complicated.
What's been the revenue from the sponsorships that come in terms of advertising on the scoreboard, and could it offset to equate to the $175,000 we would be spending, or could we earn more? Like for the current sponsors, some have, their sponsorship has ended. Have we engaged? I mean, obviously we can't because we haven't agreed to purchase this, but do we know in terms of relationships whether we could re-engage them to renew their sponsorships, and then what would be the plan to try to solicit additional ones?
So we have not engaged anyone in that process. We do know that the agreements that we have seen were originally created about 5 years ago. They pretty much, most of them ran 5 years, beginning in September of 2015 through September of 2016, and extended 5 years out. The challenge is pandemic impacted the ability for us to hold activities in that Pate Stadium, and therefore the advertising that they would be paying for wasn't really able to be delivered. either. So we haven't had direct conversations with those vendors at this time to engage and determine where they're at with their thinking and what they're believing. We will understand that there are some final payments that were not paid by them because they weren't able to deliver on the advertising piece. So that's a dialogue.
The seller has, in writing, stated that any payments that are collected would be turned over to us. The general stream of income has been somewhere in the neighborhood of $40,000, I believe, preceding that. Again, that was on a contract drawn in 2015. And these are upstanding, larger members of our community, Fairview Hospital, UTC, / Rosemont Aerospace, other. So I think there's a fair chance that we can engage in conversation. Now, that's going to be on Dr. Battle and her staff to determine if that's somebody's ownership here in our organization, or if we outsource that, because there are opportunities for that too. The folks that will take care of that for you as a third-party service. So.
But as of right now, those organizations, we're not quite sure if they will sign on to this.
Correct. Some of the contracts have
We
expired.
just have no
There's a
idea.
few that are still outstanding. We need to verify that they want to move forward with them, but that is correct, yes.
Contracts are with the Black and Gold Foundation, not us.
Yep.
And there are some open spots still. It's not like they had a full board of advertising. So there is opportunity there beyond the contracts that
I
we
was
have.
wondering how you would build a new sponsorship package in order to advertise or create advertising, and whether or not you would grandfather these ones in to entice them to renew versus coming in fresh.
How would you do that, and how would you go about it?
Additional questions? Admittedly, none of us are in the used scoreboard market business, unless you failed to tell me something I don't know about you. It's a little hard to evaluate a price point. The offer has been told to us that it is firm. My opinion is it's at least in the fair realm. We have to weigh a lot of opportunity costs involved with this. The removal of it, the time it'll be away, getting the new one in and all that. So that's, I guess, my 2 cents on it. Am I getting the sense that we have enough, at least interest in the opportunity to bring forward a motion at the next regular scheduled meeting?
Yes.
Okay. If we do that, all the associated documentation will be available there, please follow the normal path for entertaining questions. We can get them back to the purchaser and follow up, hopefully, with enough time in advance so that we can have a formal vote on it then at that time.
I have a question, Eric.
Yep.
Will that meeting include discussion about how we ended up in this predicament and how to make sure that it does not happen?
We can certainly review that, yep.
All right.
Yep. Okay. So we have, that's all we had on for tonight's agenda, so we are done with our workshop, and thank everybody for your time tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.